What was really important to me is that we designed a course that didn't just give people quick fixes, but rather a very well thought out and systematic approach to really ensure long-term success for people with their dogs.
Hi, my name is Ed Frawley. I own Leerburg. We're here this week with a friend of ours, Tyler Muto from Buffalo, New York. Tyler's doing a new online course with us on Leash Reactivity. He owns a company, a dog training company. He's a professional dog trainer, and he owns a company named Canine Connection in Buffalo. And they do a lot of pet dog training. What I recommend people do is go to YouTube and look at some of the videos that Tyler's posted on YouTube. They're really good. We looked at a lot of them before we got to know him, and he came highly recommended from Forrest Mickey, who's another instructor of ours. But we always find that it's a good idea to sit down and talk with the instructors when they first come into the program. And in this case, we're going to do something a little bit different because the simple title of this course may be confusing to some new dog trainers. The course itself is designed for people that are new to dog training, but as importantly, it's going to really benefit the people that are out there that run professional dog training schools and don't have a lot of experience handling dogs that, for one reason or another, are reactive on leash or that are aggressive. And Tyler, why don't you just talk about the core goal of the course and what you mean by leash reactivity?
Sure. So I think we've all probably seen or experienced ourselves dogs who, when they're on a leash, out on their daily walks, if they encounter another dog or person, become extremely explosive, even from a distance. And so what we're talking about when we refer to reactive dogs most commonly is not an off-leash socialization experience where the dogs are getting into fights, but rather dogs where even from a distance, just the sight of another dog causes them to react in a negative way. And usually that manifests itself as, whining, barking, lunging, screaming, a variety of different behaviors that we sort of classify as reactive behaviors.
And you do a lot of this in your business in Buffalo?
Yeah, it's one of the most common behavior issues that we get called about, and that's why I thought it was so important to make this course, not only to be able to reach out and help dog owners who may not have access to a trainer in their area that is experienced with these things, but also for experienced trainers who may just want to be able to have a little bit of a more systematic approach and a little bit more of a sound understanding of not just why dogs become reactive, but also how to fix it in a way that is very systematic and is very fair to the dog and is very methodical.
And the thing that that reminds me of is in the past, I don't have a lot of exposure to pet dog people, pet dog trainers like yourself. In the past, I've been critical of people taking dogs to pet dog trainers because I never knew people like you that have a motivational background in your training, but it's more of a balanced trainer. I always was of the impression that pet dog trainers are on a timeline, and to them, time is money, and the most important thing is the end product. How they get there didn't matter, and usually how they get there, and I guess this still happens today, how they get there is through a lot of force. And the beauty, quite frankly, of this course is that's really not how you accomplish this. There is, I'll let you speak to the process a little bit.
Certainly, yeah. I think one of the challenges of being a pet dog trainer is that we are often working on a deadline, and that's just due to our clients' limited resources, limited time, so on and so forth. And so we do sometimes have to approach things in a less than ideal way. But I think that if we're thoughtful and careful about the way we train, we can still find ways to work around that and to be compassionate with the animals that we're working with and to still achieve very realistic results but again, in a very fair manner. So what we're going for in this course, what was really important to me is that we designed a course that didn't just give people quick fixes, but rather a very well thought out and systematic approach to really ensure long-term success for people with their dogs.
Right. And you know, it's easy to throw a remote collar on or a prong collar on and jerk a dog's head off and put him into avoidance to make him stop doing that. But the beauty of what I saw this last week is how you laid this course out in such small steps. And it just makes all the sense in the world. One of the things that when we have a new instructor here at Leerburg, we try and introduce them to our customers, because you have a large following of your own. And we have a large following. We send out 75,000 emails twice a week, newsletter emails. Most of them have videos. This will be a video in one of our newsletters. But we don't go in these interviews. In the past, we haven't gone into a lot of detail about what is in this course, but I think it's important here, maybe just a touch on what you're covering in the modules to give people a sense of how good this course really is. So you've got 10 modules in the course. Why don't we just address it one module at a time? It'll only take a couple minutes, but I think it's going to give people an idea of what they can learn, where we're going. So in the module 1, basically that's just your introduction, but why don't you speak to it for a second?
Yeah, so Module 1 just introduces people to some of the concepts that we're going to be working with within this course. We give a little bit of a breakdown of sort of how we define reactive behavior, and then also the common causes of reactive behavior. Also within that module, we break down a variety of new terms so that we can make sure everybody's on the same page, especially for those out there that are trainers. Sometimes we use the same words to mean different things. So I wanted to make sure that we had a common language moving through the course. And then we talk about the variety of tools that we may use as we're doing this work with our dogs.
Yeah, that's good. And it's a good point on the same term. I mean, I'm a little dyslexic, so I look at it from a different way. You know, I look at it like sometimes people have different words for a behavior or for what you're trying to train. And that's an important thing, that everybody's on the same path, so they understand. Then you don't get in arguments over it. So on Module 2, it's the preliminary work and management. Why don't you talk a second about that?
Yeah, so again, one running theme throughout this course is that we really want to make sure that both the handlers and the dogs are well prepared. So we're recognizing that some folks that are going to take the course may have zero dog training experience, and that the dogs may not have any foundational understanding of our communication system or any of the obedience cues that we may need to give them in order to successfully work through these challenges. And so in Module 2, we start working through some of those exercises, primarily with a reward-based system of training. We do introduce a little bit of leash pressure to get the dogs used to how to communicate through a leash, get the handlers used to how to communicate through a leash, rather. And then we also talk about some management strategies, because the way this course is laid out, it's a couple weeks in before we really start working with the actual reactive behaviors. And so I wanted to give people a few strategies of just how to avoid catastrophic problems if they do encounter other dogs or people on their walks in the meantime.
Kind of an emergency deal?
Exactly. Sort of like, you know, we're going to try to avoid these things, but just in case, here's a couple strategies just so it doesn't turn out too bad.
Cool. Module 3, we've got strengthening relevant obedience.
Yeah, so Module 3 really builds on the skills we started in Module 2. And what we want to do is take that reward-based foundation that we started and begin layering in some leash pressure to strengthen the behaviors that we had begun teaching. And this is also going to prepare our dogs for any corrections that may be necessary down the line. So the way that we teach the obedience cues in this is very specific because it's going to directly relate to the exercises that we're going to be doing out on walks with our dogs.
Yeah, because as I look at it in here, you've got a segment on healing, you've got a segment on doorways and thresholds, you got a segment on the place command, the recall, and you give them a little homework at the end.
Absolutely. And you know, one other thing that we talk about in that module is how some of these commands and behaviors are really more for the character development of the dog. So instead of just trying to battle behavior problems toe to toe and always, wait for our dogs to elicit aggression just so we can, try and tackle it there.
Yep.
We talk a little bit about how the way we live with our dogs on a day-to-day basis can really influence their state of mind and influence how likely they are not only to be reactive, but how likely they are to be responsive to our communication in those crisis moments.
Right. That's huge. Then we get, my eyes are a little hard because I just did an eye doctor this morning and I've got dilated eyes.
That's all right, we'll forgive you.
Yeah, I know. We should turn all the lights off. I could see in a dark room. So the next module is body language and functional rewards.
Yeah, so this is really a cool module. This is where we start to dive in to some of the theory behind how we're going to be resolving reactive behavior. And one of the other running themes throughout this course is that the bulk of how we're going to rehabilitate these dogs has less to do with corrections and punishment and more to do with reading our dogs, responding to the cues they're giving them, and showing our dogs that we are here to advocate for them and support them, and that there's no need for them to become defensive and reactive.
Cool, cool. So then we get to module 5, that's using the prong collar during the setups.
Yeah, so in module 4, towards the end of it, we discuss some basic, what I call setups, just ways to practice working with the concepts. And we start working with them in, again, a sort of non-aversive manner in module 4. And then module 5, we begin adding some of our additional tools to the picture to help the process along.
Yeah, in module 6, you're talking about the remote collar. That's good.
Absolutely, yeah. So, now that we've kind of gotten the work started, we take a whole module just to give some basic information with the electronic collar. And I think what's important to note about that module is we aren't yet actually using the electronic collar for these setup scenarios or for dealing with reactivity yet. We take a whole module just to give our dogs a little bit of a foundation in the electronic collar using very low levels so that they understand the tool before we begin to apply it to problem areas.
And I think it's important for those people that hear us talk about remote collars, and those people that have no experience with it. I think here, and then you make a big point in the course, that just so folks understand, these remote collars, the average remote collar, the good ones, will have 100 levels of stimulation. Usually we, a human, will start to feel that stimulation at 20, 21, 22, and the average that you're working at is?
In the footage that we shot while I was here this week, we worked one dog on a 4 and one dog on a 7.
These are levels that a human would never, ever feel.
Yeah, it's extremely low.
And what I find is a lot of good dog trainers that do use remote collars train at levels that humans don't even see. The remote collars have got such a bad rep. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I think it's important, the modern remote collar is a tool for enhancing communication, right? It's a tool to give freedom to dogs. It's a tool to give freedom to people. It's no longer a tool of punishment, although it certainly can still be used that way. We primarily use them to really enhance what we're already doing with good dog training.
Right, and the fact is, it's a tool, and as a tool, it can be abused, just like a leash can be abused, just like a martingale can be abused, just like a flat collar can be abused. People just look at the worst side that don't know, and there's a lot of people out there that are completely and totally uneducated on the process that are negative towards it. And we're going to address that a little bit in this video too. So the next module 7 is applying the remote collar to the work.
Absolutely. So after we've given our dogs a bit of time to gain a foundation with the electronic collar, we start talking about the theory and specific exercises in which we apply the electronic collar to reactive scenarios. And I think there's 2 things that are important to mention here. One is that one thing we are absolutely not doing and that we don't ever do throughout the duration of this course is we do not use the electronic collar as a high-level punisher after our dogs have become reactive. So everything we're doing with the electronic collar throughout this course is very low-level work used to help prevent our dogs from becoming reactive in the first place. So we do not advocate using the electronic collar on a high level to punish aggression. It just simply isn't effective and it can really stress out your dogs. The other thing I would just want to mention really quick is using the electronic collar is not a mandatory part of this course. So we wanted to give people a variety of options as far as tools they could use, starting with the least invasive and then moving on up into more challenging tools. And so this way, people can try other things first, and then if they're struggling finding success, we add more tools to the toolbox until we finally reach success. And some folks are going to get there early, some folks are going to get there a little bit later, but we offer a variety of different approaches throughout this, so that I think everybody can achieve success with their dog if they really follow the coursework.
And that leads directly into the 8th module, handler confidence drills.
Yeah, so this is sort of a bonus module. The 8th and 9th modules, I wanted to give some extra information of some bonus drills that you can do to really, again, enhance your relationship with your dog. And what this does for the interactive students is it gives an extra couple weeks for them to work with the skills that we've already developed and to continue to receive feedback on them, because in the interactive courses, of course, they can upload videos and I can review those videos, which is very nice. And so handler confidence drills are an exercise that we've created to instill a sense of confidence in our dogs, that they can trust in our leadership, that again, they don't need to become defensive because we're going to look out for their needs and we are going to make sure that they're not put in a situation that is dangerous. And so it's a very, very cool module.
Module 9 is the role of punishment.
Yeah, so again, this module is sort of an interesting one. We review the role of punishment thus far in the course, which has been pretty minimal. And then I give a few extra strategies just in case people are still really struggling and they're sort of hitting the end of their rope, of how we can instill some stronger levels of punishment and how to do that properly to maybe just put the finishing touches on some of these dogs. So I really saved that module for the end, because the hope is that 99% of people who take the course don't actually need the techniques and the skills that are presented there, but there are a small percentage of dogs that are going to need that extra help, and I wanted to make sure that information was there for people.
Good one. And then finally, the 10th module is moving forward, or where do we go from here?
Yeah, exactly. Just wanted to give people an idea of what to expect moving forward, keep their heads in the right place, and make sure that they're continuing to be diligent with their dogs. And then just a few concluding remarks on the course, and that really sums it up.
Cool. So for the people that are new to Leerburg or are new to our online training courses, it's a good point here. He said where he has homework and students can submit videos. Our IT staff here at Leerburg since 2011 has written computer code for our own online courses. And the beauty of the code is anybody that has a smartphone, any brand of smartphone that can go out and take a videotape, my IT staff has set it up so that if you go to this website, our website, and the page we tell you to, you can push 2 buttons on your smartphone, and it will upload the videotape that you take of your dog right into the forum for the course, so that Tyler can look at it and comment on it, other students can look at it and comment on it. The interactive courses also include direct conversations. We have live chats with the instructors once a week where everybody in the course can come, and it's like sitting around a big round table. Everybody can ask questions and get answers to their questions in a real-time scenario. And those people that say, if we have a live chat on Tuesday night at 7 and you're busy at Tuesday night at 7, we record them and put them into the course the next day so the students don't miss it. And they also, all of the modules for the course have their own specific forum for that module that week of the course, so where you can go and interact and the instructor will answer the questions and comment on the posts that you put into the forum. So I only cover that because we always have new people coming to our website and new people that want to look into one of our online courses and have never really done it before. For those that are new to that, we do have sometimes, at this point in time, we have a free course on management that I put up a few weeks ago. We currently have over 1,200 people in it. Now, I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave it up, because at some point in time it's a good course and we may decide to sell it, but at this point in time it's free. But for those, again, that are new to this and are interested in what Tyler's been talking about, read the outline, go to YouTube. Look at some of Tyler's videos on YouTube. They're very, very good. I mean, your company name in Buffalo is Canine Connection?
Correct, yeah.
And how many instructors do you have there?
I have 5 trainers there.
And why don't you talk a little bit about your business and what you do? You do different kinds of training. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So yeah, like I said, we have 5 trainers, and we have a training center located in downtown Buffalo. And we do a variety of services, from private lessons to group classes to board and train programs. Our group classes are, we've got a variety of different types of group classes, ranging from obedience and maintenance classes to tricks and more just like fun reward-based training. We also offer a socialization class, which is really interesting. One of our specialties is socializing challenging dogs. So we've been able to take dogs with histories of serious dog aggression and be able to integrate them into off-leash social groups very safely and in a very controlled way. And this has been a really, really interesting class that people really enjoy and allows us to help a lot of dogs. Additionally, we hired a new trainer this year who's got a tremendous amount of experience, and she's going to be offering some new classes for us. So like rally obedience, canine good citizen and therapy dog classes, and maybe some other just kind of fun stuff as well. So we're really excited to be introducing those programs. The bulk of what we do is behavior problems, but we do a lot of just obedience training as well. And then because we do specialize with the electronic collar, we're able to offer off-leash obedience, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest gifts you can give your dog.
Right. And you know, in closing, I've got to say, because we're going to do an entirely different video on this, that Tyler is the vice president of a dog organization, the IACP. What does that stand for?
The International Association of Canine Professionals.
And it's a really good organization. We're going to put the website on here. We're going to put the website on of Tyler's business. You can do a little bit of research on it, and then my son Jeff is going to do an interview with you about the IACP and why we think it's an important organization, not only for people like yourself that are professional dog trainers, but it has a place for people like you and I. When we first got involved in dogs and the bug hit us and we wanted to go to every seminar that we could go to learn, the ICP has seminars that if you're new to dog training and you love it as much as we love it, you should consider going to it, because they have excellent, excellent seminars. So with that, we're going to close this out, and we hope a lot of people take this course because it's a good, good course.